How do we know God exists? That is the question we will answer in this edition of Thinking Christianly. Hello everyone, this is Dr. Todd. And before we get started, let me remind you, if you enjoy watching these videos, don't forget to click the subscribe button below. Also, if you have any questions about this video or requests for future videos, please leave them in the comment section below. Now on to our topic. If you'll recall in our last talk, we discussed that one way we know God is through the general revelation that He has given us in the creation. In this video, I'm going to get a little more specific in the other way God has revealed Himself. Theologians call this second kind of revelation special revelation. According to Millard Erickson, special revelation is God's manifestation of Himself to particular persons at definite times and places, enabling these people to enter into a redemptive relationship with Him. Well, you might be thinking, why does God need to reveal Himself in this particular way? Well, that's a good question. And the answer is rather simple. When the fall occurred, sin permeated the entire creation. Whereas before Adam and Eve had direct access to God and could speak to Him and obey Him freely, after they fell, their minds became darkened, and God needed a way to communicate Himself and His expectations to human beings. So, to greatly oversimplify things, general revelation is God revealing Himself through the creation, and special revelation is God revealing Himself through the Bible. Now, that's taking a complex topic and reducing it as much as possible. So let me give you some things to think about when we examine this concept of special revelation. Erickson talks about special revelation containing certain characteristics. I will try to refrain from using all big words, and I'll try to bring it down so that we can understand it better. First, God's special revelation is personal in nature. It is God communicating to human beings in a way that reveals His character to them. It's not just propositional, it's personal. Second, God's special revelation meets humans where they are. To say it another way, God's special revelation uses common human language. For example, the type of Greek used in the New Testament is far simpler than classical Greek. Instead, it is the type of language used to create simple things like shopping lists. In using this type of language, the transcendent God comes down to our level and talks to us in a way that we can understand. Well, third, God's special revelation makes use of analogies in simplifying complex truths and experiences. Jesus' teachings of the parables, for instance, in the New Testament is an example of God illustrating heavenly truth with simple, earthly comparisons. Well, all of this brings us into the contents of this special revelation. How does God communicate this revelation to us? In other words, what are His modes of communication? Well, He uses three main ways. First, He speaks through historic events. Think about the story of Israel. This drama is the unfolding of God's plan of redemption, and along the way, the narrator of Scripture comments or interprets the spiritual significance of these events. So there we have God revealing Himself through history. Think about how many times you read in the Old Testament about God being the God who brought them out of Egypt. This is one of the ways that God shows Himself to us. Second, sometimes God reveals himself through direct speech acts. Either God directly says it, or one of his prophets says, "Thus saith the Lord," or another example would be Paul's instructions to the churches in the New Testament. God reveals himself through the speech acts by making direct propositional statements that he expects us to obey because they reveal his very character. Third, perhaps we find the most amazing type of special revelation in the incarnation itself. Here God became flesh and walked among us. The writer of Hebrews tells us that in these last days, God has spoken through his Son. Jesus is the ultimate revelation of God the Father. In Jesus, we see that God's revelation is both propositional and personal. It addresses both the mind and the heart. It centers on and points to Jesus himself. Well, what are we to do with this special revelation? Well, remember Ericksons' definition of special revelation. He writes, God's manifestation of himself to particular persons at definite times and places, enabling those persons to enter into a redemptive relationship with him. In light of this definition, we are to share this special revelation in order to enable persons to enter into a redemptive relationship with God. So when we speak the words of the Bible clearly, God the Father, through the power of God the Spirit, uses us to introduce people to God the Son. And so you can't divorce God's special revelation from his general revelation. That is, if you want people to truly know Jesus. Well, I hope this video has been helpful. If you have any questions or would like me to answer any other kind of inquiries for future videos, please include your request in the comments below. Until next time, God bless, and we'll talk again soon.